When was the last time you felt truly content? Not excited, not thrilled, not posting about it on social media happy, but deeply, quietly content. If you're struggling to remember, you're not alone. We live in the most comfortable, convenient, and connected time in human history. We have more stuff, more options, more everything than ever before. And yet, rates of anxiety, depression, and loneliness are skyrocketing. The more happiness we chase, the more it seems to slip through our fingers. Something doesn't add up, does it? Here's what we're going to explore today. The happiness we're frantically chasing might be the very thing preventing us from finding it. And what true happiness actually looks like might surprise you. It's backed by both ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science. Part 1. The Happiness Treadmill. Picture this. Remember that thing you wanted so badly 6 months ago? That promotion, that relationship, that new phone, those shoes? When you finally got it? Remember that rush? That sweet, sweet hit of satisfaction? And then remember how quickly it became your new normal. This is the hedonic treadmill, a psychological phenomenon where humans rapidly adapt to positive changes. That new car smell literally and figuratively fades. The raise becomes your baseline income. The bigger house just becomes the house. Think about the last time you achieved something you'd been working toward for months. The moment itself. Electricity. 2 weeks later. Just another Tuesday. Or consider this. Have you ever finally purchased something expensive you'd been wanting forever, only to feel a strange emptiness afterward? That unsettling now what? Sensation? That's not failure. That's your brain working exactly as designed. We're wired to adapt and return to our baseline happiness level, no matter what we achieve or acquire. This isn't just armchair philosophy. Researchers tracked lottery winners and found that, after the initial excitement, they returned to roughly the same happiness levels as before, sometimes even lower because their expectations for happiness had risen. The things we believe will make us permanently happier simply don't. Part 2. The Comparison Trap. You're having a perfectly fine day until you open Instagram. Suddenly, you see an old classmate's promotion announcement. A friend's picture, perfect vacation. Someone's relationship milestone. And just like that, without even realizing it, your perfectly fine day now feels lacking. Let's be brutally honest. Most of us spend hours each day staring at highlight reels of other people's lives, comparing them to our behind-the-scenes footage. We're measuring our ordinary Tuesdays against someone else's carefully curated, filtered, and captioned best moments. It's like comparing your actual kitchen, with the dishes in the sink and the scuff marks on the floor, to a staged photo in a magazine. It's not just an unfair comparison, it's an impossible one. Social comparison has always existed, but never before have we had 24/7 access to thousands of perfectly edited versions of other people's lives right in our pockets. We're not just keeping up with the Joneses anymore, we're keeping up with the Kardashians, the influencers, and every person we've ever met since middle school. Have you noticed how quickly your satisfaction with something new can evaporate the moment you see someone else with something better? Your phone was amazing until your friend got the newer model. Your apartment was perfect until you saw your colleague's house. This isn't weakness. It's how our brains are wired. But knowing this gives us power to interrupt the pattern. Part 3. Epicurus, the original minimalist. Let's time travel back to ancient Greece, around 300 BCE to Y. Meet Epicurus, probably the most misunderstood philosopher in history. Say Epicurean today, and people think of lavish feasts and fine wines. But the real Epicurus, he ate simple meals of bread, vegetables, and cheese. He drank mostly water. He lived in a modest community garden with friends. This wasn't deprivation, it was his formula for happiness. Epicurus figured out something profound. Happiness isn't about maximizing pleasure. It's about minimizing disturbance. He identified 3 essential ingredients for happiness. 1. Friendship, deep, meaningful connections with others. 2. Freedom, self-sufficiency and freedom from unnecessary desires. 3. Reflection, time to think and understand our place in the world. Think about it. When do you feel most at peace? Is it when you're frantically pursuing the next thing? Or is it those rare moments when you're simply present? Maybe having a genuine conversation with a friend, lost in a book, or sitting quietly with your thoughts. Epicurus would say that true pleasure isn't the wild highs of excitement. It's the gentle, steady state of not being in pain, not being anxious, not craving things beyond your reach. Imagine happiness not as a towering skyscraper you're trying to build higher and higher, but as a clear window. You don't need to add more. You just need to clean away the smudges of unnecessary desires, fears, and social pressures to let the natural light shine through. Part 4. The Stoic Perspective. Building your inner fortress. While Epicurus focused on finding tranquility through simplicity, the Stoics took a different approach. They built happiness from the inside out. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, yes, the Roman emperor, and Epictetus, a former slave, developed a psychological framework that's so powerful it's now the foundation of modern cognitive behavioral therapy. Their key insight? It's not events that disturb us, but our judgments about those events. Think about the last time someone cut you off in traffic. Did you, A, feel a flash of rage, curse them out, and let it ruin the next 20 minutes of your day? B, barely notice and continue with your day, undisturbed? The external event was identical. The difference was entirely in your reaction. How many times have you given away your peace of mind to things completely outside your control? The weather, other people's opinions, a delayed flight, a rude comment online? The Stoics would ask, why surrender your happiness to things you cannot change? Imagine your happiness as a ship on the ocean. External events are like the weather, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. You can't control the weather, but you can learn to navigate skillfully through any condition. The Stoics weren't about suppressing emotions. They were about developing such inner strength that external circumstances couldn't easily knock you off center. When you're upset, ask yourself, is this within my control? If not, practice accepting it with equanimity. If yes, take action. This simple practice can transform your daily experience. Part 5. Positive Psychology. Science catches up. Fast forward to the late 20th century. Psychology had spent decades studying what makes people miserable. Finally, researchers started asking, what makes people thrive? Martin Seligman and his colleagues discovered something fascinating. The ancient philosophers were right all along. Science confirmed that authentic happiness isn't about constant pleasure. It's deeper, richer, and far more complex. Seligman's research yielded the PERMA model of well-being. Positive emotions, yes, feeling good matters, but it's just one element. Engagement, the flow state where you lose track of time. Relationships, meaningful connections with others. Meaning, contributing to something larger than yourself. Accomplishment, working toward and achieving goals. Think about when you felt most fulfilled. Was it passive consumption? Like binge watching a show? Or was it after creating something, connecting deeply with someone, or accomplishing something challenging? The science shows that meaningful happiness comes primarily from what we give, not what we get. Remember that vacation where everything went perfectly according to plan? The weather was ideal, the food was amazing, the photos were Instagram-worthy. But 2 weeks later, you were back to your baseline. Now remember that time you pushed through something difficult, maybe learning a skill, completing a project, or helping someone in need. That sense of meaning and accomplishment? It stays with you, becoming part of your identity and resilience. Part 6. Building Real Happiness. Your Toolkit. So if happiness isn't what we've been sold, how do we cultivate the real thing? Here's your practical toolkit, combining ancient wisdom with modern science. 1. Practice conscious appreciation. The antidote to the hedonic treadmill. Deliberate gratitude. Not the forced I should be grateful kind, but the genuine wow, I'm really noticing this kind. Try this. Instead of scrolling first thing tomorrow morning, step outside or look out a window and find one thing that's beautiful or interesting. Cloud formation. A bird. The way light hits a building. Just observe it for 30 seconds. Notice how different this feels from your usual morning routine. That's the difference between consumption and connection. 2. Build your inner citadel. Channel your inner Stoic, by distinguishing between what you can and cannot control. Next time you feel upset, ask, is this within my control? If not, practice saying, this isn't mine to control. Feel the burden lift as you stop fighting unwinnable battles. For things you can control, ask, what's one small action I can take right now? Then take it. 3. Cultivate meaningful connection. Both ancient wisdom and modern research agree. Quality relationships are the single strongest predictor of happiness. We all know the difference between a conversation where we're half listening while thinking about something else versus being fully present. One feels empty. The other nourishes both people. This week, have one conversation where you put away all devices and practice genuine curiosity. Ask questions. Listen without planning your response. Notice how different it feels. 4. Find your flow. Flow, that state where you're so absorbed in an activity that time seems to disappear, is one of the most reliable paths to fulfillment. Think about when you've lost track of time in a good way. Maybe you were gardening, writing, playing music, coding, or even organizing a closet. That wasn't just enjoyment, it was engagement. Identify one activity that absorbs you completely. Schedule 1 hour this week dedicated to it, not as a reward or a luxury, but as essential nourishment for your well-being. 5. Contribute to something larger. Humans need meaning. We need to feel that our existence matters beyond our individual experience. Have you noticed how problems often seem smaller when you're helping someone else with theirs? That's not coincidence, it's perspective. Find one way to contribute this week. Volunteer, help a neighbor, create something that brings value to others. Notice how it affects your sense of purpose and proportion. Conclusion: the happiness revolution. The revolution we need isn't about chasing more happiness. It's about redefining what happiness means. It's not a constant state of excitement. It's not the absence of difficulty. It's not something you achieve once and then possess forever. Real happiness is a practice, a way of engaging with life that involves both the pursuit of meaningful pleasure and the capacity to find meaning in inevitable pain. Here's what both ancient wisdom and modern science tell us. Happiness isn't something that happens to you. It's something you cultivate through how you think, what you focus on, and how you choose to live. The good news: you don't need to win the lottery, get 1 million followers, or achieve perfection to experience it. You just need to align your life with what actually nourishes the human spirit: connection, purpose, engagement, and inner strength. The path to real happiness isn't about adding more. Often, it's about removing the obstacles we've placed in our own way. As you go through your day, ask yourself, am I chasing happiness, or am I practicing it? The answer might just change everything.